This is 3. I'm as surprised as you. If this is your first time seeing a video from this series, I'm doing a short day after run through and recap of the 6 daily questions in the current Learned League season. If you're digging these, do me a favor and share them with someone. That'd be great. Also, feel free to take notes, I guess. I mean, that's how learning happens. So here's yesterday's set from day 3 of 25. How you doing so far? Question 1. The phrase, "and I took that personally," a widely memed line from a 2020 documentary miniseries, is associated with what man? He doesn't actually use that line at any point in the documentary, though he suggests the sentiment many, many times. In retirement, Michael Jordan has gone from being an invincible champion who does nothing but win into someone whose compulsive competitiveness seems to have consumed him completely. I don't think he can hear us over his 6 rings, but even the greatest champions have to take an L from time to time. Or so I've been told! Question 2. In chemistry, there are 2 major types of chemical bonds. One in which atoms are joined by an electrostatic charge, and another in which atoms share a pair of electrons. The former are ionic bonds, the latter are most commonly known as what? I suspect this is another Yekioid question. I knew it by brute force after having it beaten into me in 9th grade chemistry or so. To this moment, I still have no real sense of what a covalent bond actually is, and at this point, I'm afraid to ask. If you could give me a primer, I'd be eager to hear it. Question 3! Gertrude Stein's modernist novel, completed in 1911 but not published until 1925, perhaps because it had little commercial interest, approaching 1,000 pages and having neither plot nor action nor dialogue, is entitled The Making of What? The missing word describes characters in the book as well as members of Stein's family after whom the characters are based. Okay, here's where living with a feminist historian in the house pays off. Gertrude Stein is known for, well, it's not just the one thing, but it's a manageable list of things she's known for. She was a prodigious art collector who helped build the careers of Picasso, Matisse, Renoir, Gauguin, Cézanne, tons of others. She came from a bit of money. She's credited with possibly inventing the term lost generation. It was either her or Hemingway. You'll hear both. She's famous for being a stream of consciousness style writer, which at the time was still kind of a new thing. Her most famous poem, for trivia purposes, because that's what we're really talking about here, is probably the one about the rose being a rose. Her kind of sort of memoir is the autobiography of Alice B. Toklas. It names names and serves a lot of tea about her famous friends. Alice B. Toklas was her longtime lover, and also, fun fact, the inventor of the hash brownie. And her novels include 3 Lives, which is really good, Tender Buttons, which I haven't read, and relevant to the question at hand, The Making of Americans, which is famously very long and plotless. If you didn't know this one, don't worry about it. It might never come up again. Question 4. Driving for 25 minutes west-northwest from the European city of Malmö, one would arrive in what other city? Now, Malmö is at the very southern end of Sweden. There's a famous, gorgeous bridge/tunnel, the Öresund Bridge, that leads from Malmö, Sweden, across the Øresund Strait. It's about 5 miles to Copenhagen, Denmark. It's a stunning piece of architecture, and the question required you to have seen it or heard of it. I should have gotten this. I did not. That happens. Question 5. The report on the Office of the Secretary of Defense Vietnam Task Force, an official study of U.S. defense policy commissioned in 1967 to examine American involvement in Southeast Asia, is today, and since 1971, more commonly known by what name? Some of the questions asked in this game are clearly for the kids. The Dua Lipa one on Game Day 1, there was a question about Young Thug last season, I remember. If there hasn't been one on the D'Amelio sisters, there will be soon. But this one's for the Xers and the Boomers. If you were sentient in the 70s, you'll remember Walter freaking Cronkite or whatever talking about the Pentagon Papers every damn night. It was a simpler time, wasn't it? Okay, last one. A roasted poblano pepper stuffed with cheese and also perhaps diced meat, nuts, and or cinnamon, and then dipped in eggs and flour and deep fried in oil. This is a basic recipe for what delectable dish that originated in the Mexican city of Puebla. Okay, a quick and thoroughly inadequate primer. Tamales are steamed fixins wrapped in a corn husk. You don't eat the husk, but it can make a good plate, especially if you're eating it outdoors. There's all the sauce, meat, vegetables, and tortilla variants, chilaquiles, panuchos, huaraches, tostadas, tortas, tacos, nachos, gorditas, all of that stuff. And then there's a ton of different soups and stews of varying hotness and contents. And the breaded desserts, oh, legion. But stuffed peppers with cheese, especially breaded and deep fried, that last bit is what makes them delicious. Yeah, that's chile relleno. If you're in a decent Mexican joint and the beers are cold, you should get that. Happy Thursday!